G'day folks, Pat Curley from LearnCigarBoxGuitar.com with a 4-string in my hand, and we're going to look at constructing chords on a 4-string guitar. I've got this one here tuned to the key of G, so that's G, D, G and B, and we're going to have a look at how you can particularly work with movable chords on up and down the neck. This video will have an accompanying link to a PDF chord chart. It's got a whole stack of different chords up in the open position, and also some movable shapes that I want to focus on in this video. Now, what you'll find in the in that PDF file is that I've color-coded the chords so that you can see which note is the first note of the chord, the third note, the fifth note, the seventh note, etc. That's important. I feel that that's important, and that's what's also going to be a focus of this video. And it's important because there's no way that I can cover everything you need to know about chords in one 10-minute video. But if you understand how the 1, 3, 5, 7 chord tones function, you can yourself figure out any chord you like. Yeah? So we're not going to go through all of that, but I want to give you enough information so that you can start to figure it out, because at its core it's very simple. It just takes a lot of practice, but the basic idea is really fundamental. So I want to look at that fundamental notion and see if you can start to get that in your head, and then you can work out any chord you like. There's no way I can show you every single possible chord, but you can figure out how to find them yourself. It's like that old Chinese proverb, I can give you a fish and you go away and eat it, but if I teach you how to catch one, then you're sorted for life. And so that's what I'm always focused on doing in all my teaching, is teaching how to catch, not just giving you the stuff, right? That's not teaching, that's just giving. It's really, I find that it's taking away your ability to learn, your opportunity to learn. Yeah, I'm not about to do that. Anyway, didn't think I'd go there. Let's have a look, shall we, at what's going on here. All right. On your guitar, like I say, 4 strings. That's the first note of the scale there on the bottom. That's the 5th note of the scale there. That's the first note of the scale again, so those two are an octave apart. And that note on top is the 3rd note of the scale. So what does that mean? Well, your scale, your major scale, goes A, B. I'll count the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. In the key of G, that's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And I build a scale, and I build a chord in the key of G by picking the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th. If it's a 7th chord, the flat 7th note, and then there's the 1 again, but I've already played it before. I can repeat it if I choose. So I obviously can't play them all on the 1 string if I'm going to play a chord, so I will play them on different strings. So the 1 is there, the 3, that one is there, the 5, that one is there down an octave. So I've got 1, 3, 5, there's my chord. Okay, that's a major chord because I've taken those notes from the major scale. If I were to play a minor chord, the difference would be that note there, the major 3rd, would be, I'd replace it with that one flat, 1 semitone flat from the major 3rd and make it a minor 3rd. Now, in the key of G, in my tuning, I've got the major 3rd there on top and I can't make it any flat, so what I'll do is I'll put that note in, and I'll put the 5 note there on top as well and double the 5. So there's a minor chord. Now, if you have a look at my chord charts and follow it really closely and look where the yellow dots move and the green dots move and all the various dots move, you can see how the difference between major chords and minor chords. You can see what happens when I add a 7th note, etc. Let's have a look at that 7th note for now too, yeah? So in the key of G, to play a G7th chord, you add the flattened 7th note of the scale. So there's my scale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's the 7, that's the flat 7, that's an F. So an F, in order for me to find an F, I would play that F there. but now I don't have the 5 anymore, so I'm going to play the 5 there. Now I don't have the 3, so I'm going to play the 3 there. And there's my 7th chord. I did that in a hurry. If you didn't get it, slow down. If you didn't get it, have a look at the chord chart. Rewind the tape. Continue with the tape. There you go. I'm showing my age. Rewind the video. And you'll get more as we go, so don't worry about it right now, okay? But anyway, I've built a chord. That's what we want to look at, how you can do that, building a chord. And there's a G7 shape. Okay. Now in the chord charts on the PDF file, you'll see diagrams with yellow dots and red dots, and the yellow dots are the 3rd. So that'll be the yellow dot, and that'll be the green dot, and that'll be the blue dot, and that open one will be the red dot. So you can see what's the 3rd, the 4th, and the 3rd, the 5th, etc. And you'll be able to follow the move around as we go from major to minor to 7th to diminished, etc. And the chart's laid out in such a way so that it's quite easy to do that. Okay. You'll also notice that some of the chords in this open position are quite difficult to play. Because you're having to reach to make sure, because I've notated them with all 4 notes in it, and you don't always need all 4 notes, but I've notated them so that you can see those moving patterns. Right? What's going to be more useful to you as far as your playing goes is the movable shapes. So I want to have a look at those. There's a movable shape right there, that open one, that's a G. So I can play that there as an A, as a B, as a C, as a D. The way that I look to do that is I'm aware that that note on the bass is the G, and it's a G chord, so it's the first note of the chord. If I play that same shape based on that note, then that's the first note of the chord, and that's an A chord. Now, if I play it there, that C is the first note of the chord, so it's a C chord. So there's your first movable shape, right? The dreaded 1-finger chord. Yeah? Now, if I were to pick that note there, for example, that's the note on the 5th fret on the 3rd string. That's also a G. If I play that little line, that diagonal line down there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer now. If I play that little diagonal line there, with the 5th fret, the 4th fret, 2nd finger, 3rd fret on the 2nd finger, 4th fret, 2nd string, 1st finger, 3rd fret on the top. There's a lot to get through, so I apologise that I'm rushing through it. I'll slow down. There's your G major shape. That's the 1, that's the 3, that's the 5. The yellow dot, the blue dot, the red dot. That movable shape G there, I can play an F there. G, A, B, C, D, etc. G. So that's important to know. It's also important to know that I can make that a G7 chord by moving that G note there on the note is based around back 2 semitones to there. The other 2 are the same, and that now is a G7 chord. Okay, so look at the movable shapes in the chord charts, and you'll see that I've taken that red one down to there to make it a green one, and now it's a G7 chord. Remember when I played the major scale and took that 7th note back there, 1 flattened the 7th note, 1, it was 2 frets behind the tonic, the 1 note, same thing. So that's a G7 chord. If that's a G chord, we're back to our G chord. That major 3rd, remember I said I could make that a minor chord, a minor 3rd by doing that, so that's a minor chord. Again, look at the PDF in those movable shapes. 7, minor, minor 7, etc. Have a look at how in the PDF file how the 3rd moves backwards and forwards, how the 7 relates to the 1, etc. The 5 will stay put. until you get to the diminished chord. The diminished chord's a whole other lesson. I'll look at that in a different video. Yeah? Okay, so that's looking at the first note there on that third string and building a chord around that. If I move up here to the 7th fret and play that note on that same third string on the 9th fret, that's a B note, right? G, A, B. It's the third note of the scale. If I then look for notes around about this area that will fit in the key of G, I've got the B there, I've got the D there, which is the 5th note, and I've got the G or the 1 there. So now my chord looks like this. What's that? 9th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret. That's a G note. Because that's the third, that one there becomes a G minor. G, G minor. Because that's the 1, that one there's the 1. If I take it back to there and play that, I've got a G7. Yeah, you with me? So you can see how from this basic shape I can manipulate the chord notes because I know which one's which to find my minor or my flat 7. You might decide that you want to play a B flat augmented 13 with a sharp 4 in it, which makes no sense at all. But if you looked up on the internet the formula for that chord, you could build it. If you knew, okay, there's the 4, there's the 3, move it back to there, etc. Right? This is how it works. It's not difficult. There's your major chord. That's the major third there. So you take it back to there, and it becomes a minor chord. Because that's G, I can take it to there to become F, E, D, D minor. Right? So if you're looking at some of the chord shapes in the open position and I'm asking you to do these crazy things with your hand because I want all 4 notes, just say what you do is, in practice, you don't need all 4 notes. You just use these little movable shapes to find the one that you want. Yeah? So again, there's G minor, A minor, B minor, C minor, D minor. Yeah. And again, the last one. That's a G. That's a G7. Didn't think that sounded right. That's a G7 there. The diagrams are all on the chart. So that's the first thing you need to do with the movable chords, is knowing what the shapes are, knowing which notes are which within that shape so that you can then manipulate it to make a different chord, so make that from a G major to a G minor, etc. Now, to move them around though, you need to know the names of the notes on your fretboard. You don't need to have them memorised, you just need to know how to figure it out. So if you know that that's the third note in G, you just count G, A, B. G, A, B. Where's my G, A? I'll get my hand up here. G, A, B. B is the third note. That's the B, that's the third note there, that's a G, that's a B, right? From there, you just need to know, how do you find all the other notes if you know where a B is? Well, it's simple. Yeah? They're all 2 frets apart from each other, except for the E and the F and the B and the C. If you have a look on your piano keyboard, you've got black, white, black, white, black, white, except the 2 white ones that are together, in the E and the F and the B and the C, it's the same thing. So that's a B, that's a C. And then they're 2 frets apart until we get to the E and the F. Let's do it up here. That's a B, that's a C. And then the 2 frets apart, D, E, F, G, A, B. That one's G, the second string, G, A, B, B and C next to each other, B and C, D, E, or E and F, F and G. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, B and C, D. So you know how to count up once you know one of them. Once you know where one of them is, you know how to count the other ones, find the other ones, and you know what your shapes are. So if you know that in this shape, that note there is the 1, because it's got the little red dot on it on your chart. And on your chart I've said that that's the 7th fret, so that one there's the 1, it's got the red dot, you know that's the G. I know that I can go back 2 and it's the F. I know that the E and the F are next to each other, so if I go back another one, it's an E. So I know that that's an E major. If I know that that's an E major, well, I know all I have to do then is change it to that shape and it becomes an E minor. And all the other variations on that particular shape now apply, but in the key of E. So that's E minor, yeah, that's E7, that's E minor 7. E minor 7 is the same as G major in that when you only play the 3 notes. Funny about that, because you're missing a note, that's why that works. So where were we? G, E, E minor, E minor 7, E minor, E, E7, yeah? So you figure out where the red dot is on the chart. In this, for that chord it's there, for this chord it's here, for this chord it's here, and you count backwards or forwards to find out where you need to be. So if that's G, that's F, that's an F chord, that's an F7 chord, that's an F minor 7 chord, etc. So play with it, listen for all those chords as you go around, and study that chart and you'll be fine. Cheers.